Welcome and good afternoon, everybody, to the Awesome Dynamics Show, our weekly webinar where we address different issues about websites, SEO, and Amazon consulting. We have Paul Dwarian, the owner of the company, with us today, and we also have Robin, our SEO expert. And we have Blake, who will be rejoining us shortly, who's on a technical difficulty right now. But we want to go ahead and get right into our subject matter today. We do have ability for you to, as you come in through the website, you can type in some questions if you have them. You can also always email me directly, terry@awesomedynamic.com, and we can address any questions that you have as we go forward. Want to get right to Robin's blog of the week, and she has a great one this week. Robin, how to blast past the search engine ranking plateau. Help us.
Sure. So this is a question that I get a lot, and it's how I've been doing SEO for years. How do I get past that? I'm stuck at number 5, or I'm at 2 and I just really want to beat this guy at number 1. So how do you do that? I'm going to tell you today. So
All right,
this
we're
is a
excited.
this is a more advanced blog. So before you even start on anything on this blog, make sure you have your basics down, that you have a separate service page for each one of your services or products. You have 300 to 600 words or more words than your competitor on each page. You have pictures, videos, everything optimized, your social media set up, backlinks, I mean everything. You have everything set up, and then you can do this. All right, so that's really the first part. Do you guys get questions all the time from people asking you, I'm stuck here, I want to go up for this word, or I'm always stuck here and I need to get to the number 1 position, or at least on the first page?
We hear about it all the time. Different degrees of just getting started, getting past, why is this guy ahead of me? What am I doing wrong? Why isn't he? All those kind of things. That's a regular conversation that we're having. So definitely, we need to hear some ideas on that. It comes up pretty much every day. So, Paul, do you get that too on your end?
Of course. I mean, I've been working with a lot of our consulting clients that are really looking at their competitors and wanting to get ahead of them in the search results, whether it's a national term or even a term that's local in their area. They're in one town, and the next town over, their competitor is located there, and of course, that signal of being local there to Google allows the competitor to rank better. But if our client does a certain number of things, they can actually get in front of the other guy, even if they're not located in that town. So there's a lot of opportunities that are out there, and the general concept of SEO in many times, or in many cases, is just doing a little bit more than your competition. So take a look at what they've got and do more. And I believe with what Robin has in store for us today, has a lot of those different types of ideas. Not necessarily the technical how-to on it, but the conceptual ideas of the theory of how to get that done. So Robin, why don't you get into some of those details for us now?
Sure. The first thing you should have is just some way to track your keywords. You should be tracking at least 100 keywords, if not more, and your location. And if you're a national company, you can just track the general national ranking keywords. But it's important because I've seen many high-level executives, what they do instead of looking at these reports, because they're too complicated to look at, they'll just Google themselves, every day. So you don't want to do that, because it's going to give you inaccurate information, and you're not going to be able to keep track it over time. So it depends on where you're searching from. I'll see people search from their house, then they'll search at work and say, how come I moved down? Well, because you're searching from 2 different places. Or they'll search on their phone and then on their computer, and they'll say, why did I move down 2 spots? Well, your mobile results are different. So definitely have some way to consistently track and keep a history over time of the keywords that you are ranking for. And Google Analytics doesn't actually track that, so you'll need some sort of other software. We use BrightLocal. There's 3 steps to beating your longtime competitors. 1's igniting your content, 2 is expanding your reach, and 3 is recycling your good SEO habits. All right, so igniting your content. So There's a lot of ways that you can refresh your content. One of the things you can keep in mind is if you're if you have an archive, or if you're a newspaper or magazine company, or if you have a blog that's been for many years, you want to take that content and weed out anything that is no longer relevant and won't help your customers. If the content is relevant, you can either de-index it so that people can just see it on when they get to the site, or you can update the page and have it rank on Google. So you want to make sure to continue to refresh your content, and if it's an older type of content but still useful, make sure that your customers can still see it, but you don't necessarily have to rank on Google for it. There's some strategies you can use to this, like using different tiers, like your #1 article should be at the top and refreshed all the time, and other articles can fall a little less priority. And don't be afraid to delete some of that content, and it can actually even be costing you money if you have old content that's bad content that's taking up space on your website. So an example of that would just be like the CDC website, Center for Disease Control. With the Zika virus, they have a map that's original content that they just keep updating almost daily, and that's getting them a lot of web traffic. And because of the changes, Google is seeing that they're whenever they recrawl, they're going to crawl more often, and then you're going to pop up higher on the results if people keep clicking your result.
You know, Robin, I wanted to jump in here because I saw, the guy that has that video YouTube channel, Backlink O. He had a great video about igniting your content where he talked about having a what was it? It was so many tips on how to do something. And what he did was he looked all over the internet for the best tips on how to do that thing and articles about how to do that thing. And somebody had like a 10 tips article, somebody had a 15 tips article, and I remember what it was: how to run like a wellness activities for your corporation. That's what it was. And all the articles that he found out on the internet, especially on the first page of Google, were like 10 tips, 15 tips, etc. It was all less than 20 for sure. So what he set out to do was make a better article, really ignite his content. What he noticed in all these articles is all of them were just basically a list of tips with no implementation information or details. So he went out and made an article with 150 tips, and on each of those 150 tips he had probably 2 or 3 paragraphs, bulleted lists, examples of how to implement that with videos and pictures. And he crafted this entire thing and put it on his website as a blog and promoted it through good SEO habits and optimizing the page, and shared it with some different places that have these other articles with the 15 or 10 tips, and they backlinked to him, and he zoomed up to the top page of Google right away just because he produced something that was better than anything else that was out there on the internet. And that's really a good example of igniting your content. And I think it might be worthwhile to even include that video of the Backlink O guy that we know, and take a look at some of his ideas and include it here. So I'll make a note
embed that right in there.
Get that over to you. Okay.
Sure.
Terry, any comments on that?
Well, no, I think that's a great idea. I did have a question, though, back to what we were talking about in the beginning here, and that is, you mentioned de-indexing pages, and I thought maybe that would a good explanation of what that means would be appropriate.
So Robin, go ahead and take that one away.
De-indexing?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So de-indexing just means, well, you have all this SEO work that you're doing. Let's say you do hundreds of hours of SEO work. We're going to convert that into what we call SEO juice. So it's all this powerful SEO juice that you created for your website. Well, now if you spread that out among all your pages, let's say you have 200 pages on your website, each one of them is just going to get a little bit of SEO juice. But if you put all that juice into just your top, let's say 20 or 30 pages, well, now you're going to have those rank, they're going to have a ton of power, and they're going to rank better. So de-indexing is just telling Google, hey, I want these pages to rank, but hey, these pages are not as important, so you don't have to rank these. I just want people to get somewhere on my site that's somewhat relevant or very relevant to their search, but then they can go ahead and click around and look at all this other content, the secondary content that I have.
Great. Very interesting. All right, so now we're going to talk about expanding your reach. Use creativity to boost position.
Yes. So you want to make sure that you have great creative content and stuff that's different than everything else out there. So I'll give you a couple examples. We have a client that is ranking for tax appeal attorney, and we were looking around at their competitors' websites and seeing what we could do differently. And we came up with the idea, so everyone's trying, all their competitors are just trying to rank for tax lawyer, tax appeal attorney, tax appeal lawyer, real estate taxes. But what no one had on their site was what people are actually looking for. So when I'm looking for appealing my taxes, the first thing I'm looking for is, well, when do I have to do this by? So if they could just make a piece of original content that said, that answers the question, what's my deadline for my town, my house, my county, and have that on their website, well, now other people can link to that, and when people search for that, they're going to pop up #1, and that's how you can kind of blast past your competitors and rank for other words, and not necessarily the words that your competitors are ranking for, but if there's no competition on words that would get more people to your website and information that people want to know, and then that's exactly what you're looking for. So that's just one example of using creative content. Another way you can use creative content, I know Wayfair, it's a furniture store. So basically, think about every furniture store online, like Overstock.com, CrateandBarrel.com. They all have something like this. They all have sofas. They all have price underneath. They all have a picture. So what would make this different? Well, they decided to do a piece of original content called the Sofa Fort Guide and how to make your sofa in a different fort. So it's kind of a fun, playful piece, how to make all these different forts. And it keeps people longer on your page, so your stats are going to improve. It keeps them clicking around, so you're going to have higher page averages. And it's really engaging content that no other furniture store has online. So this is definitely a great example of original content. And also, you have to think about the point in the buying cycle that your customer's in. Are they just doing research? Are they ready to buy? So they identified, Wayfair, that if they're on the website here and looking at sofas, they're very early on in the buying cycle. So this is something that can keep people on your site and convert to a purchase.
Well, I'll be back in a little bit. I'm going to make a fort.
I just wanted to comment really quick. I just sent the link for that video, that backlink video, to Blake, so he'll put those in the show notes. That'll accompany this video. They're also in the comments of the Hangout, so anybody that's watching now can grab that. And Robin, you have that, so you can go ahead and embed. In fact, I'll just embed it on the page now. So I don't have any comments on that. Terry's going to go make a fort, so do you think we should get on to step number 3 unless you got some examples for us?
I did want to jump in real briefly, and if I could, it's my time to do what I like to do, which is talk a little bit about Awesome Dynamic real quick. So if someone could throw up our homepage for us, that would be great. So basically, just so you know, if you're new watching our show, Awesome Dynamic has one main task, and that is to get you new targeted customers. Actually set up in one of our groups today and said, new customers are calling me every day. Are they calling you? And they are calling us because we do responsive web design, we do search engine optimization to drive those new customers our way, and we also do Google virtual tours, which will help you and give you a boost on your SEO. I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point there. And we also are Amazon seller consultants. We did a lot of work with people that are either trying to get on Amazon, are on Amazon, and are frustrated or not having the sales they'd like to have. So those are what we do, and those are how we get new customers for our clients. So I want you to visit our page. Make sure you take a look at it. We have our blogs that Robin does. We have our webinar information. We have the old webinars, which I was going to mention. Robin talked at the beginning of this blog about, you should be at a certain level of SEO before you start jumping onto these things. You can probably get a bunch of good information by going to some of our old webinars, taking a look at them. maybe before you jump into some of these more advanced things we're talking about here, if you haven't done those already. You can go down to the bottom of our page and give us a 5-star Google review if you like what you've heard from us. We really do appreciate it. It's a big part of our business is getting those reviews. We can also get you on our awesome list, which is our mailing list, so you can keep up with all our new things that are happening and be aware of everything that's going on. So just wanted to mention that. Wanted to make sure everybody knows as well they can type in their questions or email them to me, Terry at awesomedynamic.com, and jump right in whenever you're comfortable if you have a question. So with all that said, we want to get back into Robin's blog. Robin.
Sure. And just a side note on this number 2, expand your reach. Reddit's also a great area of opportunity for businesses. There's not a ton of businesses on Reddit, so there's a lot less competition than Facebook, and you can use it to do, let's say you're if you have a business, you're an expert in your field, you can do a Q&A, which they call AMAs. So you can use Reddit in a lot of different ways for good creative content and to reach your specific target audience. It's actually also the fastest growing social network, which I thought was interesting. It's growing faster than Facebook. All right. So number 3 is recycle good SEO habits to beat the search engine ranking plateau. So this is just the basics. Make sure that you're always keeping your sitemap up to date. You're keeping up with your technical aspects. Even the site speed. So if your site is not, if you keep adding to your site and you're not aware of what your webmaster is doing, they could add on a whole bunch of extra stuff that slows down your site. So always make sure your site's super fast, because that's a huge ranking factor, and also a human factor. If a site doesn't load in a few seconds, you're on to the next site, especially on your mobile device. And then you want to make sure you're still backlinking, posting on social media, regular blogging, regular fresh content updating. So it's really just all of the basics. Great website, easy to navigate, good content. So it's really just about refreshing and keeping your website current. How many times have we seen clients that still have their same website from the 90s? That's
Too
not
often.
going to work. Yeah. Exactly. So it's just like anything else. You'll fall behind the times. It's like, it's kind of like updating your car. You always have to keep working on your car to make sure that it works. So if you're not checking on it, it's going to start falling apart. And there's always new hackers out there, and there's always new technology, and the SEO rules change all the time. So if you've done SEO in the past, you can't just stop doing it. It's like advertising. If you just stop advertising, then no one's going to know who you are.
I think Terry's got a good analogy for that, as comparing SEO and just stop saying you did it and you're done.
Well, we talked. I mean, the one time I don't know if this is the one you're alluding to, but we had the conversation with our insurance client.
Yep.
Is that where you're going?
Yep.
So he wanted to know how long he would have to do SEO, and I asked him how long I needed insurance. So I think that drove home the point to him. It's an ongoing scenario, and we know that, and our clients are starting to get the message that is something that has to be kept moving forward at all time, fresh content, all the things you just mentioned. It has to be kept up, and if if you're starting to have a lot of success, and you rest on those laurels while your competition is gearing up, you can find a big change to your situation pretty quickly.
Right. Cool. Thank you, Terry.
Mm-hmm.
So, Robin, what do we have next here?
Sure. Yeah, this is just something that I think a lot of people just overlook a lot of times. They'll say, okay, I got my fresh new website done. It's a couple years go by, and they just ignore the basics. So always make sure it's very continual. Always do the basics. Another thing that goes along with good SEO habits and just measuring part of your competitors to get ahead of them is to use these spider tools. So what are spider tools? It's kind of like the example that Paul was talking about, where you look at, evaluate one part of your competitors' websites and see what they're doing better than you, and then go ahead and do that. So if you see the top, you want to rank for this one certain keyword, and you see all the top 10 have an average of, let's say, 680 words. on their page. So we're recommending between 300 to 600 words on your each service or product page as a minimum, for an example. But if all of your competitors have an average of 680 words, well, now you have to do 700. So that's just one measurement. There's hundreds of measurements that you can do on these pages. So, for example, the file name of your picture. That's another measurement. If your competitors have your keyword in there and let's say they have 5 pictures on their page and 2 videos, and you have 3 pictures and no videos. Well, who's going to rank better? Probably the one with more pictures and videos. So you're going to find with these SEO tools, what it is a huge Excel sheet. I mean, thousands of lines, tons of boxes. And what it does is instead of you going into each one of your competitors' websites and writing down, okay, this guy has 400 words, this guy has this much metadata, this guy has 5 pictures on this one page of his website. This does it all for you. All you have to do is type in the URL, and then you'll get the huge list of all of your competitors' information. Now, are these things free? No. Some of them are free, but like SEO Tools for Excel easily integrates with Excel. It's only for Windows. And it does work, but there's a lot of things that are off limits, like the social media pages and things like that. Screaming Frog is another top one, and it's Scrapebox as well. These are all just measurements. So what you're trying to do is get data points. Once you get these data points, you can see, am I doing better or worse than the people on these top 10 results? Or if you're at number 5, how about what are the 4 people ahead of me, what are they doing that I'm not? And then you go ahead and do those things. Sounds really simple in theory. In reality, you're going to be spending hundreds of hours on this. So.
All right. So, question for you:
Yes.
Is every scenario different when for different businesses that are looking to do these things? Look at some of their competitors. Is there something you would recommend? These are the top 3 things to look at to get started, or is it just a matter of digging in and trying to figure out what's making them more successful and how you can attack that?
Sure, that's a great question. So I would say if you can get one of these programs, the main thing is to just have the data. Once you have the data, then evaluating it and picking and choosing what's good for your website is completely different for every company. But the data points should all be the same. So is one data point more than another? You can take a look, and there's tons of articles out there that say these are the most important ranking factors. Or you can even take a look at this pie chart here and look at, okay, these are the most important ranking factors. And you can see that content and backlinks are super important. So then how does that translate in content? Super important, on-page signals. So then you can loosely translate that into the measurement points. But that's just one easy measurement point, is the amount of words you have on your site, the basics, how many pictures, is it easy to use, is it easy to navigate? So assuming that you have all of those down and ready on your website and you're still doing better than your competitors on those basics things, this is where you can dive even deeper into it. So let's say you have a more visual website and you're a photography website. Well, obviously you're going to stress pictures and optimizing those more. And trying to get down the speed of the website. But for example, you could just take if you see patterns in the majority of these data points, that's where you're really looking for. So it does depend on, 1, the data points and what they're telling you, and analyzing that, and then 2, acting upon the ones that are important for your business. So I would say, yeah, there's a lot of variation depending on what your business is.
Okay, fantastic. Well, there's a lot of great information in there. Are you wanting to just sum up what we talked about real quick for everybody, so we could just move off of this onto our next topic?
Sure. So if you want to get past your competitors on Google and you've been stuck at a position forever, just try some of these basic tips. Just improving your content, refreshing it, getting rid of dead content, expanding your reach and using your creativity to provide unique types of content, and using those basic SEO habits that you've been using for years, continue to use those and make sure that you're on a regular schedule. You have someone monitoring that for you. And just overall looking at your rankings weekly and diving into your analytics and understanding them so that you know where your weaknesses are and how to improve to get past your competitors.
All right. And as always, that's a great job by Robin. Robin's one of the best there is in the SEO world, so take heed to what she's saying because she knows what she's doing. And I can just tell you from the amount of phone calls I'm getting based on her work that what she says works. So jump in and get it done.